that do come to council meetings.
I want to call to order the Amberley Village Council meeting of January 10 to order. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak.
Here.
Ben Hunt.
Here.
Tom Muething.
Here.
Keely Paul.
Here.
Bob Rosen.
Here.
Jay Shatz.
Here.
Natalie Wolf. Here. Scot Lahrmer.
Here.
Andrew Keely.
Here.
Chief Wallace.
Here.
Rick Kay.
Here. And just as a reminder to everyone, please make sure when you speak, turn your mic on, and also speak into your mic because of the mask and so forth. If everyone could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda is our minutes from our last regularly scheduled meeting. Those minutes were circulated in advance. Are there any corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, we can consider the minutes approved. We'll now hear the finance report for November.
Thank you, Mayor. Included in your council packet was the UAN report, but I'd also like to talk about some of the highlights of that particular report, and it's been summarized in a memo that was included in your packet. The earnings tax for the month of November totaled $155,000. This brings us for year-to-date collection of $3,051,000. Our estimate for the year was $3 million. So we have exceeded that particular goal, and to not keep you in suspense in regards to how we finished out the year, I'll just briefly mention that we ended up collecting $3.2 million. So I believe that was a number that actually exceeded what the mayor had even projected early on. So nice job, Mayor Muething. So the earnings tax, we have completed that and is collected. We did not have any property tax in the month of November. We did collect $6,400 in local government fund dollars. In terms of revenue for the overall revenue for the village and the general fund, we collected $255,000, and that brings us to a total at the end of November of $5.5 million. Our estimate was $5.1 million. So we've collected over 100% of that. On the expense side, the equation for November expenses, $448,000. Our expenditures as of the end of November, $4.9 million. The budget established by council for 2021 was $5.8 million, so we have spent 84% of the budget as of the end of November. And we end the month with an unencumbered general fund balance of $6.3 million. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions for the manager? If not, we do have a scheduled speaker this evening, but she's not here. If she comes later, it is the branch manager for the Deer Park Library. We talked about at the last meeting the opening of the new Deer Park Library, and again, Natalie Fields has spoke to us in the past, and I'm sure if she is not able to make it this evening, I'm sure she'll come at a future meeting to fill us in on the new branch. We'll now move on to committee reports. First committee is the Finance Committee, and as chair of the Finance Committee, before you this evening is Resolution 2022-1, requesting that the Hamilton County Board of Elections place the police levy renewal on the May 3rd, 2022 ballot. We talked about this at our last meeting. We are keeping the police levy at the same level, so we will be asking voters to approve that at the May election, and we have received back from the Hamilton County Auditor's site the estimated revenue that would come in from this particular levy, which is in line with what we were anticipating. So I hereby move that we approve Resolution 2022-1.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-1, which would put the police levy renewal on the ballot for May 3rd. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-1. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Be it noted that the resolution passes unanimously. And that concludes the Finance Committee report. We'll now move on to the Streets, Public Utilities, and Sewers Committee.
Well, I have an exciting report this evening. We have 3 items. The first is a Resolution 2022-2, authorizing the village manager to enter into a contract with CME for some pipelining. This is a project that is on Section Road by Amber Acres. It's actually left over from last year's capital budget. It's a complicated stormwater sewer project. There's a broken pipe underneath the right-of-way, and the pipe is actually buried 16 feet below the surface, so it would be quite a project to dig it up, and we were looking for other solutions, and we have a company that is going to be able to line the existing pipe where we won't have to essentially dig up the street as much. So I would move that council approve Resolution 2022 authorizing the city manager to enter into this contract. You can see that the amount of the contract is some $16,000, a little over $16,000. It's attached to your packet on page 44, if you want to look at the detailed bid.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-2, which authorizes a contract with CME Pipelining. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-2. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that the resolution passes unanimously.
Also at the Streets Committee meeting, I'm going to move that council approve Resolution 2022-3, which authorizes the city manager to enter into a purchasing agreement for a tractor with a boom arm mower attachment. Currently, we have for a number of years participated in sort of a pool arrangement with Sycamore Township and other townships to have this piece of equipment, which apparently goes along the right-of-way and has a big arm that cuts brush and saves a lot of time from people having to go by hand and do it by hand. The current piece of equipment that we are sharing is over 20 years old, and the way it works is if it breaks down when it's in your possession, you have to pay for the repairs. And just our luck, it's been sitting in the garage out at the maintenance facility for the past 8 months because it broke down and we can't get parts to repair it. And my understanding is also that given the age of the piece of equipment, that it breaks down frequently and perhaps is maybe serviceable almost maybe less than half the time. We have negotiated a deal with Sycamore Township where we will jointly purchase a new tractor with this boom arm, and it will be just shared amongst us and Sycamore Township, which should cut down substantially on the wear and tear of this piece of equipment over the years. We are paying half, Sycamore Township is going to pay half, they're paying half of the maintenance and all the costs associated with it. I wish... Sims Township. I wish Tony was here to talk about this because he gets really excited about this kind of thing, and he can describe it much better than I can.
If you want someone who's excited, I can talk about it. I think the only thing that you've missed is that the boom arm mower is a fully articulated arm that will actually go up vertically And that is how they cut the trees that encroach upon the road and the power lines back. And it is a feat of majesty.
Yeah, yeah. It does everything but serve coffee, I understand. So I move approval of Resolution 2022-3, authorizing the city manager to enter into this agreement to purchase this equipment along with Sims Township.
I will second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-3, authorizing for the purchase of a tractor and boom arm mowing equipment with Sims Township, where we will share 50/50. Are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have some curious questions, because I'm not on the streets committee, but, so we also share storage of the equipment, I'm understanding. How often do we use it?
If you want to answer, go ahead. Go ahead.
Glad to. So in regards to how often we use it, it's used during the summertime.
A lot?
It is used a lot,
So it
yes.
must spend also a lot of time, what, do we tow, does it get towed back and forth?
It would be driven back
Driven
and
back and
forth,
forth.
yes.
And so when you said Sycamore Township, I actually
It's
thought,
Sims
well, that makes
Township.
more
Yeah.
sense because it's closer, but
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty fair distance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And my understanding is they're anticipating they'll be able to do the job that they do now in trimming the trees and whatnot in about a third of the time that they're spending now. And it will free them up, obviously, to do other maintenance type of work around the township, around the village.
And in addition to along the streets and especially section and so forth, it is used down at the green. And I've seen them use it at the very back of the property at the green, where those trees grow over that trail every year.
Yeah. No, I'm just like curious about the sharing with the faraway township and how that works. Thank you.
It will be stored here when it's not in use.
Oh, it's not stored by whoever used it last, which is what I understood from Bob's report.
The old equipment was, but now this new equipment will be stored here, and when they want to use it, they have to take it, drive it on the road, and then bring it back,
Oh, I like that
once they're
better.
finished with it.
I just want to make sure that this is something that we highlight in our newsletter. Tammy, and are really intentional. I think it's something a lot of residents don't know about, but as I've learned in my short time here, speaks volumes to our very clever and intentional approach to handling things like this that normally we wouldn't be able to afford on our own. And the timing as we bring a levy to the residents. It's a good story to put out there.
I would like to add to that. My microphone doesn't seem to be working, but I appreciate Councilman Shatz saying that, because I think that it really is a testament to Tony and his crew that they have done such a great job with the equipment that we have had and the creativity that they've had, and that continues to show in this deal. So I think that it's a great story.
I think this is at least the third example I know of where we share equipment. We share the salt conveyor, and we also share the plug, or what do you call it, the fire plug? Plug hug, or? Are there any other questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2022-3. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passed unanimously.
Only one other item to update council on. We had the city engineer also at our committee meeting finalizing plans for the Farm Crest reconstruction. Those plans are moving along. They're about 90% complete at this point. We did hold a public hearing in November. We sent out a notice to all the residents that would be affected. We had, I think 12 residents showed up. There was a good discussion back and forth between the residents and the city engineer about the plans. These plans should be finalized in and be put out to bid in February, and it should come before council in the March meeting, where we will be asked to approve the winning bidder at that point. That completes my report.
Are there any questions? Thank you. We'll now move on to the manager's report.
Mayor and Council, I have 3 items I wanted to highlight out of the manager's report. The first being that Amberley Village has once again been ranked as the top village in Hamilton County for the highest percent of waste diverted from the landfill. So we will receive the Best Village Award for having the highest diversion of our rate. It's actually for the entire county. We even beat cities this time. So it's quite impressive. So certainly thanks goes to all of our residents who diligently recycle here in the community. Second, to the one-stop drop, which helps add to our numbers. And then third, to our maintenance staff that diligently chips brush and vacuums leaves every year. All of that goes into the calculation for the diversion, and so we're quite proud to be the recipient of that award again. That award will be presented at a later time. The second item I wanted to mention is in regards to a proud moment from a manager's standpoint of the staff. Fundraising efforts by the staff to support the Souter family continued through the month of December. This was in regards to Keith Souter, who passed away in the fall. He was a retired police officer and firefighter. Staff did various activities to raise donations, and we ended up collecting $5,300 in donations from our employees. There was majority that came from employees. We did have some residents that donated towards the effort, but we were quite pleased to be able to present that to the Souter family this past month. And the third item I wanted to mention is in regards to the Central Corridor gas pipeline. Certainly the village has been involved with that issue for the last few years, but I just wanted to announce that 20-inch diameter gas pipeline has been installed. It's 100% installed. Restoration is left to be taken care of. This entered the village in the area of Procter & Gamble on Sunnybrook and then traveled south through a couple of Amberley properties and then exited the village into Gulf Manor at the area of Ohio Pulp. The project certainly was long and laborious, but Duke did a nice job communicating with the village about the status of the project. But obviously there's still restoration and cleanup work that needs to be done. It was scheduled for testing today and likely will be go live later this month. So that project has pretty much been completed at this point. And that's concludes my report. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the manager? Vice Mayor?
Thank you. Scott, I just want to go back to your highlighting the Hamilton County Resource Recycling Award, because we have been, in the last 10 years, we've been steadily improving and we are doing fantastic, but that doesn't mean that we can't even do better than we are. And I know I've mentioned this in the past, but one of the things that I would love to see more, our residents do more of, is home composting, because this, again, is contributing, towards the top tier to get this award, and anything that we can keep out of the landfill. My own family, we started doing it when we were members of the community garden. We started doing it at home. And once you start, it's like recycling. It's just becomes a habit that you can't imagine even putting kitchen scraps in the trash or down the disposal. They go in the recycling bin, in the compost bin. So since we mentioned the newsletter earlier, I would love to see this award and how great Amberley's doing highlighted, and then also with the focus on how our residents can compost at home. Okay. It would just, go with the whole Amberley, the Tree City USA, our recycling, one-stop drop, everything we do. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And I will mention the Environmental Stewardship Committee I think it was a couple of years ago, tried, and we didn't really get around to it, but the thought was that we would try to get pictures of where people have done at-home composting to show how easy it is as far as examples. And so we will again bring that up at the ESC.
And then can I actually add another comment on that? Natalie, I appreciate you pointing out composting. The other one I noticed, Rumpke about a year ago started accepting more recycling items. And I think a reminder or a refresher for residents about it's the tubs, and the number 5 tubs, that those are recyclable. I believe the last time we got a magnet, that still wasn't on that, so my wife and I have been back and forth on this pretty much on a weekly basis for about 6 months. I keep insisting it's 5s or 5, but so maybe a refresher.
Okay.
Scott, just to understand the measure of how we win this award, are they looking at the volume of stuff that's being recycled? Is that one of them?
Yes, it's volume based. And this would be for the data, I believe it's from 2020 that is awarded in 2021 to us, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the trucks, the Rumpke trucks that pick up in the village, so those are weighed, so they know how much garbage we give to Rumpke, and they also weigh the recycling. We then give the volume or the weight from the one-stop drop. We also give the measurements of how much we collect in leaves and the chipping. And the chipping and the leaves were added to the measurement, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And that, I mean, Amberley was already doing very well, but once they added those in, that shot us to the top.
So everywhere I've ever lived, I've composted, long before it was cool. But I have concerns about composting in Amberley Village because if you do it improperly, it can attract coyotes. And so I feel like I fully support us pushing and helping educate people about composting, but I feel like we definitely need to include an element on how to do it in ways that don't attract varmints. Because as a small dog owner, I have unusually large concerns about coyotes.
Fair point. Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Chief, you have anything?
Yeah, I just have a couple items here. I had reached out to some of the newer council members to meet with them. I've kind of put it on hold just because we've had a series of COVID cases internally in the police department, as well as a little short on staff because of moving people around. So I kind of want to wait for things to clear up before I start bringing people into the building, on a regular for meetings. In April, we're going to be hosting the MCI, the Mass Casualty Incident Drill, here in the village. It'll be actually hosted at the Madison JCC this year. In the past, they've done it at the airport and different locations, down at the stadiums downtown. So over the next few months, you'll actually see a lot of different departments coming in town, pulling a lot of the J, just kind of look at the layout and stuff. This has been, months in the planning, so it'll really start picking up a lot. We meet pretty regularly on this. Obviously, every Hamilton County agency is involved, as well as, on the police side and a lot on the fire side as well, the majority on fire. So when you start seeing all the different vehicles coming in and out of the J and different stuff like that, we'll actually put something out, public notification out when the time comes to let people know what's going on. Yeah, so it'll be on a Saturday, so it'll be when they're closed. They're going to actually, I believe it's going to be worked out on a day where it is going to be closed the whole day because it'll be a long drill. There'll be a lot of other facilities we're going to have to use parking at different facilities for staging and EMS units, fire units, and additional personnel. Just a couple things, in February, I've been talking with a couple of residents, Stacy Lefton and Sandy Pylon. We're looking at doing a meet with the police department, doing a lunch like we did a few years ago, chili with the chief, just to get our police department back out in the public eye. Let's get out there and invite residents, come in, open forum, let them ask questions, and it actually worked out really well. Last time we did it, and several residents approached me, I'd like to do that again. We're gonna give a report. We have had, hired a number of officers, and with auxiliary officers and stuff, I like to have as many people here as possible, just to be able to meet people and see faces, because it does make people a lot more comfortable when they know the officers and get to meet them face to face. So we're shooting for February for that. I'll just kind of give you the goals of 2022 for the department is training. So we, Sergeant Smith Goslin took over the police department training. He also does the fire training. We're going to be doing a lot of online training, a lot of hands-on training. We're going to take it to a different perspective. We do a lot of training for newer officers when they're hired, but no department does enough for the guys that have been around for 10, 15, 20 years. And, repetition of practicing what you do every day is important. So our goal for 2022 is to make sure we're doing things better and better than everyone else. So we're going to continue that. The other big thing is physical fitness. In February, we'll have our room set up downstairs where we have workout mats and things like that were donated from another gym where guys can actually come in here and do their MMA wrestling and practice hand-to-hand combat, things like that. Just another area for officers to be able to work out and train and get better and stronger. So physical fitness will be a big attribute for 2022. And the last is just continue our community outreach. I think we do a good job as a whole with our department reaching out, but I always think that there's always room to do better. So that'll be some of the goals that we do.
Are there any questions for the chief?
Just a general comment as we start to get this narrative of the police levy. I've noted, maybe I missed it, just to provide us with some explanation as to expenses. I mean, a lot of this focuses on the money coming in, but I think we need to, well, I know that we need to come up with a narrative to explain to the residents why costs have gone up and continue to go up. Obviously, it's part of doing village business.
We have a really good story, and since we've started the levy with the changes that we've made internally, the reduction of staffing levels, the changing of the newer council members wouldn't know this, but the previous council members would know that we changed rank structures within a department to make a lot of financial changes, and then just different things that we do, and everything's documented, so we're more than happy to meet.
Absolutely, yeah, and I don't doubt that. I just want to make sure that as we've worked on the millage and focused on that now we are equally as specific and transparent in terms of costs.
I agree.
And I do think, Scott, that we should schedule in the next couple of weeks a public outreach committee meeting to start coming up with the plan of how we're going to communicate to residents about the levy. I know the last time, I think we ended up having at least a town hall down at the J or something. I think we probably need to plan on doing the same thing.
And I also went out and spoke at a couple of the different temples too, individually, went out and just met, just talking to the congregations itself.
Other questions for the chief? Okay, thank you. For my marriage report, I just have one item I wanted to do tonight. The JED with, and this one is with Sycamore Township. We have 3 members that serve on that JED. Sycamore Township has 3 members. Peg Conway was on that, and so I'd like to nominate Councilman Rosen to serve on that JED. It fits well with the Finance Committee, so Councilman Rosen sits on the Finance Committee. The JED board meets on a quarterly basis, so it meets 4 times a year. So I hereby move that we appoint Councilman Rosen to be one of our representatives on the JED.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we appoint Councilman Rosen to be one of our representatives on the JED. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we appoint Councilman Rosen to be one of our representatives on the JED with Sycamore Township. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Be it noted that that resolution passes unanimously. And at the next meeting, I will have a couple other appointments, including a couple for the Human Rights Commission. Those were 3-year appointments, so some of those are rolling over, and so we're confirming that the current members are interested in continuing to serve on that. And that concludes my mayor's report. Are there any questions? Okay, is there any new business?
I'd like to give Scott a chance just to add anything to the Reading Corridor report, which was very interesting. Are there any updates? Are you optimistic? There was a lot of background to it, and want to get a sense of where we are at now.
In regards to the Reading Road corridor, what I presented in the manager's report was just sort of the historical piece of this. The village has been involved with the Reading Road corridor project going back to 2015, 2016. It is a compilation of a lot of different jurisdictions that are working with Roselawn area to try to identify land use issues and future land use issues so that that corridor can be have a more significant impact not only to the neighborhood but also to the general area. The village's interest actually stemmed from a comment that was made by one of our businesses. Pepsi is located in that general area as well as Procter & Gamble. So that's what stirred the interest, but it's more germane as it relates to Cincinnati Center Point industrial site, which is 2100 Section Road. So that particular property is the key to our economic development for the future and our financial outlook. That particular Reading Road corridor has an effect on 2100 Section Road. And so we experienced about a year and a half ago that a prospect looking at 2100 Section Road turned the site down because of the appearance of Reading Road corridor. So that just heightened it even more in regards to our interest in working with the various communities with the Reading Road corridor. The village continues to have a monthly meeting with the jurisdictions. I can say that all the jurisdictions they have skin in the game. They all are very interested in this. It is a very difficult long-term project. Our best defense in this situation is the Port Authority, which has the ability to acquire properties. I think if you look at the Reading Road corridor, there's certain areas that the property needs to be acquired and the building demolished. And so with the Port Authority, they have recently acquired the Drake and the Carousel, and they're trying to acquire the Sycamore, but they'll be demolishing the Drake and the Carousel, which will level that and give us a much different look in the Reading Road corridor and some potential for development on the Reading Road corridor. We just continue to encourage the various jurisdictions to work together to try to overcome some of the obstacles. And as you know, it's a difficult corridor to try to change the perception of what people believe that corridor is all about. A lot of people will remark about when it was in its heyday, and while that may not be coming back, certainly we need to take advantage and help other jurisdictions to try to make it the best that it can be. It could, because it does have the potential of being a regional market for us if certain businesses were located in that area. So that's where we're at this point.
Any other new business? If not, consider the meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.